You might be hesitant to hire a coach for yourself, but I promise you it is 1,000% worth it to have that partner. And my partner, I will give her credit, Wendy Davis. I've coached with her after that engagement ended at Accenture. I paid her and I've coached for her for over a year with her. And she really helped me realize that this is what I want to do.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm Pedro, and today I'm joined by Sasha Sidel, who built her coaching practice from the inside out while recruiting at a Fortune 500 firm, giving her unique insight into what actually gets candidates noticed and hired. What sets Sasha apart is her systematic approach with signature frameworks like backdoor offers and magnetic interview that help professionals move from being merely qualified to becoming must-have candidates. Sasha's methodology focuses on building brands that get noticed, opening quiet doors through strategic relationships, and negotiating with calm confidence rather than chasing traditional job applications. Her clients consistently transform from overlooked to an in-demand, landing senior roles and 6-figure packages by mastering the art of being remembered. Welcome to the show, Sasha.
Hi, thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, that was quite an introduction. Maybe I should hire you as my salesperson.
You know what, Sasha? You're the only one to blame for the introduction. You built that by yourself, so don't give me that. Okay,
Thank
you're
you,
the one to
Pedro.
blame. And
Thank
Sasha,
you.
from the day we met, I'm excited to record the episode with you. And I love to rewind a bit because every coach has that moment where they look at their life and say, "Yeah, I guess this is what I'm doing now." Right. So when was that for
Yeah,
you, Sasha?
yeah. You know what? For a long time, I've been searching for something that felt more meaningful. I loved my career as a recruiter. It's obviously very similar to what I do now. Uh, but the moment that I realized that I was going to be the coach is actually, oddly enough, which is not odd at all, is when I got a coach. So I was working at the time for Accenture, and they had a benefit, and they gave you a free coach, and I probably would have never paid for a coach. This is the ironic thing, and I want everyone to hear that you might be hesitant to hire a coach for yourself, but I promise you it is 1,000% worth it to have that partner. And my partner, I will give her credit, Wendy Davis. I've coached with her after that engagement ended at Accenture. I paid her and I've coached for her for over a year with her. And she really helped me realize that this is what I want to do. And once I made that decision in like 2 sessions, I kid you not. And sometimes you don't need a long time. And then I ran with it and I never looked back.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so you started not necessarily as your own business. You starting the reps by working with her, like a full-time job in coaching. I got that right?
No, so she was my coach.
Ah, okay.
So a
Oh, so I
company
did
I
coaching
worked
with her.
for,
Okay.
my corporate job that I worked for, and a lot of, if you're in a corporate job today, find out, because a lot of the companies offer you a life coach.
Mm,
And I took that benefit. It gave me 3 months of life coaching. And by session 2, I was like, I want to do what you do.
got it. Got it. Okay. And when did it shift, from I'm helping people, this is a calling or something like that, to I'm building a real business around this, because I'm not sure if it's the first invoice, I'm not sure if it's the first paying client, but that feeling of you know what? This is an actual business, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna share a lot of names today. So, um, I was already volunteering. I still volunteer there for a nonprofit, Upwardly Global, which helps refugees who were professionals in their home countries acclimate to the United States corporate, professional work. And so I was doing it already, right, as a volunteer. And Wendy, who was my coach, helped me helped me come to, hey, this can be a business. And what I did was right after those two sessions, Wendy recommended me a business program, 2K for 2K by Stacy Beeman. And I'm still in her coaching programs actually. And that program was $2,000. When I tell you my hand was shaking putting into that credit card number, it really was. But her promise at the time is that you either make your 2K by following my program or I give you your 2K back. And guys, Pedro, and for those of you listening, within 5 weeks, I made my $2,000 back. I made my first offer. I went to high ticket right away. I said, you know what? I paid the 2,000. That's going to be my offer, and I made it back. And just and did I think it was going to be a business? Yes. Like from day one, even though I was working in a corporate job, I never had any doubt that this is my calling. I'm going to make money doing this, and I'm going to make a lot of money doing this. And I still believe this.
Okay. Now walk me through it because I love the shift, right? The transition. So you had a
Hmm.
full-time job
Yep.
and you were volunteering already and doing
Hmm.
this on the side. And then you started your own practice, but while having a full-time job. I got that right? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So when did you make the leap of faith? You know, the one that's like, oh, now I'm gonna leave corporate America and I'm like hitting the gas here.
Okay, so very actually interesting thing what happened, and I want everyone to hear this. So actually, what happened after my 3 months of coaching was Wendy, I had gotten laid off from Accenture. And at that moment, I thought, hey, I'm just going to go all in. But for those of you who are building coaching businesses, maybe there are a few people that, straight, I had a six-figure job, right? So I was not obviously able to get to that number in my first, second, third month of coaching, or even fifth or sixth, right? So at that point, I was like, okay, I need a corporate job, and do this. So I help people how to get jobs. So I was able to get myself a really great job that paid me more money. And I want to say it was a great job. It was a hybrid role. I worked at the Empire State Building. I had an amazing boss. Like I really have no bad things to say about that role. But in October of this last year of 2025, um, my business was growing and I just got a bunch of work at my job. And I sat down and I thought to myself, I'm either going to be very good at my corporate job and put a pause in my business. I'm going to be bad in both of those things, or I'm just going to kind of try to get by at the job and focus on my business and then eventually get fired. And that would be like totally out of my integrity. And I ran the numbers and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I called my husband. And he said, well, we have to talk about it, right? He's at work. He comes home. And I was like, I just need to do this. And he's like, well, it sounds like you already decided. So, and he's right. Like, there was really nothing that he could tell me that would make me say, no, I'm not quitting. So I gave my 2 weeks in, and everybody there was amazed because they've never actually had a person. People resign all the time, right? But they've never had a person who resigned to do their own thing.
Nice. I love the fact that you draw a line in the sand, right? You're in that crossroad and you're like, you know what? Either I do my way or I try this full-time job because I cannot do both at the same time. This is gonna be a train wreck. Either I'm gonna, drop my performance in the full-time job. I'm not gonna be able to support all the clients I want to do. And at the end of the day, it's like doing something meaningful, like that
Yeah,
what
yeah.
actually moved you in the first place to start this. Now, what I would love to understand is like, after you got rolling, who are the people
Mhm.
that kept showing up? You know, the ones you realize, okay, this is my tribe. And the reason I asked this is, well, first, you started with a life coach, right? Very
Yeah.
broad. And second, in the early days of coaching, sometimes we're still trying to find our niche, right? We're still trying
Yeah.
to help everyone and all that. So, how that played out for you?
Yeah, so like my niche was pretty clear to me because I said, okay, where can I bring the most value? And obviously, I worked as a corporate recruiter and I knew how to help people get, like, I knew the process. So I thought, okay, this is where I can really give most value. However, during the time of, me coaching, I had other people also come to me, people who were kind of over corporate America and kind of wanted to do what I'm doing. And I've had a few of those clients too that I've helped kind of start their own things. I've helped two of my personal friends start businesses that are doing very well now. So I am a career coach, and if you need a corporate job, I can 100% help you. I know how to do so and how to make you feel good while you're doing that. But I'm also very passionate about people who were like me and who maybe can't walk away just yet, but want to build a brand of themselves, of like what their strongest skill set is, where they bring more value. Because I truly believe that the future of our workforce is going to be this fractional work. You are a brand of one. What skills do I have? It's like going to a store. Like, I'm a store. I know how to, help you with your resume, help you with your LinkedIn, interview well. Like, what skills do I have? And now another thing I'm really good at, that I could say, and I'm so excited to say, is getting leads. And I'm like now thinking about, okay, maybe I should come out with a B2B offer where I help a company get leads. Obviously, that's not anything immediate, but that's definitely been on my mind.
Mm. Yeah, it sounds like it's it's something like you've been into the corporate world and then you told me, well, how can I bring more value, right? And then you niche down. This is more like the second part of it. It's like, hey, I've been doing this, it's working. Now it just added to your belt, right? Another
Yeah,
tool.
yeah.
Like I can potentially help them with this too. So that's interesting. Now, that's the coaching side. And I would love to talk about something you kind of browsed through it already, which is marketing. Okay.
Hmm.
So, how do people usually find you? You know?
So my main platform has been LinkedIn. Obviously, I've already had a very small following on LinkedIn from being a recruiter. So I just really doubled up on that. Content creation, I post 6 to 7 times a week on LinkedIn. It's consistent. I used to, it's interesting how it changes. I used to have this thing when I first started, and I would say, I am never going to DM anybody myself. Like, they have to come to me. I don't believe that anymore. And I will tell you, for other career coaches watching, some of my best clients came from me DMing them, because you're literally handpicking who you want to work with. So don't shy away from DMing people. I also on Instagram, I will be honest, it's not my main platform. And I've been trying and doing different things to kind of build that, but haven't really had that much success, full transparency. But I do actually get some of my clients from Facebook as well.
Mm.
So, but I am also on TikTok. I mean, I'm pretty much everywhere but X, I would say. And I have a Substack for those of you who want to subscribe. Take your chance. It's free. Shameless plug.
Okay. Okay. I love it. Well, it makes sense that Instagram is not as strong as LinkedIn. Most people looking for career advancement or vertical areas, they're looking on LinkedIn, right? So that's
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. Now, let's pretend I followed you on LinkedIn, Instagram, Substack, what else? TikTok. Okay, all of those. And you ended up DMing me, right? You're like, "Hey
Mm-hmm.
Pedro, what's up?" And I'm like, "Hey Sasha, what's up?" And we ended up on a call or whatever that looks
Mm-hmm.
like for your process. We saw alignment, right? So you can
Mm-hmm.
see that you can help me, I can see that you can help me, and ended up being closing. We're like onboarding me, and now walk
Mm-hmm.
me through from my perspective as a client
Okay.
being onboarded into your coaching practice. How would that play out?
Okay. So the first thing that you and I are going to do in our very first session is you figuring out what it is that you want. You have no idea how many people are just on autopilot and they, well, maybe you have an idea, but they've been doing something for 10 years and they feel like they have to do it. And a lot of them come to me and they said, look, I have this experience. I've gone on these interviews. Why am I not getting? It's because they don't want to do it anymore. So that is the absolute first thing that we do is we figure out what you want to do, and then we move on from there to creating your online presence, obviously on LinkedIn. And then we create a list of target companies that you want to work with. And then I show you how you get in front of those people. And that turns into interviews, and that turns into me prepping you for interviews. And over 90% of people I prep for interviews will get the offer. I am very good at this. Does
Hmm.
that answer your question, Pedro?
It does. I am also career coach, okay? FYI.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me ask you this. And this is a question I've been spinning my wheels a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about. It's like you've been in corporate America, you know the ins and outs about HR, right? The
Yeah.
recruiting process and all of that. But you're outside of it in a way right now. You're not
Yeah.
there. So how do
Yeah.
you keep updated? Considering we now have AI that is browsing through a lot of
Yeah.
resumes
Yeah.
and all that, how do you keep that, on check for yourself?
Absolutely.
Or and I'm not sure if it's a network thing or how do you do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So first of all, just a little bit of a secret, not a secret, but my company does actually offer staffing services too. It's not the business that I go out and the way that I look for leads and coaching, but I do have accumulated a lot of professional friends who need help sometimes with hiring, and they will hire me. It's very easy and quick for me because I've been doing that. So I have still that understanding of what really happens behind the closed doors. And of course, I am so tuned into the recruiting community. Still, a lot of my dear friends are still recruiters, and we constantly stay in touch and talk about it. My experience is not dated at all because just a month ago, I've placed someone as a recruiter in a Java engineering role in California. And having done that process, like I invested in LinkedIn Recruiter. For those of you who don't know, it's an interface on LinkedIn for recruiters. And that actually gave me a very clear understanding of what is happening, doing it independently, not tied to a company, because I've used the tools that I wanted to use.
I love that. That keeps you updated. I really think that's important. Not to mention the network you obviously created during the years you were in corporate America. Now, let me ask you this. I think this is a very interesting topic. It's like you were worked in corporate, right? So you
Hmm.
have this big structure behind you. Everything, it's like a well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
right? You just show up, do your work, and that's it. Now, when you move to coaching, especially as a business owner, where you're wearing all the hats, right? From business
Hmm.
development to marketing to ops to you name it, okay? Everything. So, how do you think about capacity so you don't stretch yourself too thin, you know?
Yeah, I this is a great question, Pedro. I think I am a person who struggles with this because I am so passionate about what I do and I want to work all the time, but I also have a family, right? And a life outside of coaching too. Um, I personally believe, and I think you are what you believe, like truly. I believe that I have so much capacity. That is my belief about myself. I mean, I worked a full time job. I have two kids, one of them a small child, um, a house, a family, a husband, and I was doing coaching. So for me right now, just having to do the coaching is kind of a break now because I was doing it plus a full-time job, right? Um, I think that the biggest challenge for me, and something that I'm working on, is the scheduling, right? Making sure that I'm efficient, creating blocks of time where, I do content, where I do marketing, where I see clients, because my thing that I'm always drawn to is like, I'm going to take as many calls as I can, but like I understand, right, like intellectually, that there are other parts of the business, and being organized is something super important, and that's truly, honestly, a struggle for me.
Mm. Yeah, I feel you because I feel like I'm on the same boat. And the reason I do that is because sometimes the work itself energizes you, right? You're getting a lot out of it. But at the same time, you have the potential to burn out if you don't set up boundaries, because sometimes it doesn't even feel like work. So much
It
fun,
doesn't.
right? You're like,
Yeah, it doesn't.
I'm having
And
a blast.
yeah, and you know what? A client, maybe will Voxer me at 10 p.m. and I'm not gonna wait till the next day to reply. It feels like it's just a second. I could just like, it's just a second. But the truth is, I'm sitting there, with my daughter. You know what I mean? So I understand that that's something that I need to work on. And um, I do, like, I am in community with a lot of very successful coaches and people who are, way further ahead than me, making millions, and they all very structured. Like, I look to people that are doing way better than me as like not just an inspiration, but like how are they doing things? And like they've shared their schedules with me. It's all very structured. And I can't say
Mm.
that I have the same structure.
Mm, yeah, 100%. Another topic that I love is like pricing, but not necessarily
Mhm.
hard numbers, right? I love the mindset behind it. Like, for example, coaches in the space, they tend to have a lot of self worth tied to pricing. Like, am I charging enough? Am I not charging enough? And sometimes they use the what I call the scarcity calculator. Like they're looking at
Yeah.
their calendar and they're like thinking, yeah, if I charge X, Y, and Z less of what I'm charging, I could have like all of these calls here, all of these calls. It doesn't really work like that, right? There's a
Yeah.
perception of value and all that. Now, my question to you is, how do you think about it today, the topic, pricing? And were there any lessons along the way that shaped how you
Y-
landed where you are right now?
Yeah, yeah. So as I told you, I started with high ticket right away, 2000. That was my package. And since then, obviously my one-on-one package is more than that now, of course, but um I've also have added a membership, like a subscription membership type of a offer. And I think about pricing all the time because I do have a business coach, and she's always pushing me to raise my prices. And it's hard, right? Because you get super comfortable selling something at one price, and then you try to sell it at a higher price, and your confidence is not as there. So I think what I've come to, right, I've come to believe that it is okay for me to undercharge. And the reason I say this is because if you've been struggling, like one of my clients, John, if you've been struggling to get a job for 18 months, and he worked with me for 5, and he's got an offer for 122,000 with a 15K sign on, like because of me, honestly, because for 18 months he couldn't find a job. So what is really the value of it? I mean, we can argue and say that it's worth 20K, 30K, right? But I only charged him 4. So, and I have to be okay with that because John ended up being has re-signed up with me to work on his career. Like I'm becoming his career counselor, and I feel good about over delivering.
Mm,
But pricing, definitely a hot point because I don't know if you've considered this, Pedro, as a coach. There's a coach that whose programs I've been in and that I follow, and she has a very interesting kind of offer suite where she sells pre-recorded courses, and they are, by the way, amazing. And to me, they're just as valuable as if I sat with her one on one. So if you think about it, you record a course and you sell that course, and you don't have to be like, this is how you scale. So for me, this is really a goal of mine. And I host free master classes every 3 weeks to 4 weeks. And I've sold some of them at a low point, but to me, that showed me a proof of concept that I can come out with something very valuable. I'll be able to sell it as a low ticket, and the way people are still going to get value from it. And I recorded it once. So I'm really, thinking about that more as well.
Mm. Well, ways that doesn't rely on you showing up, right? It's ways to
Exactly.
create a passive sort of engine. Yeah, no, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I've seen all types of offers you can imagine. Depends on the person, depends on the market, really, and how you're gonna, create your own content regarding courses and all of that.
Yeah.
Now, I think you gave a powerful reminder, right? Especially, I think I resonate with this. Like, for example, I was a high ticket sales closer for a landscape business coach, right, for
Mm-hmm.
almost 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I see a lot of coaches regarding pricing and getting the
Mm-hmm.
price up or down is like they get into a sweet spot into regarding to conversion rates, right? And they're so happy with it because they're like, oh, I'm converting like 90% plus, right? But that's a sign of your maybe your price is too low, because
Yeah.
your conversion rate is so high and you want to avoid the rejection. It feels good to close someone, right? So
Yes. Oh my
there's
God.
a
Yes.
fine balance between the
Yes.
conversion rate and the pricing. So I think they walk hand to hand, but that's just my opinion, right?
Yeah. I actually want to say one more thing about this is that very oftentimes when we don't sell, it's actually not about the price at all. Because
Mm,
I had this experiment. This was my first year of coaching. And so I was selling my program at 2K. And then I started like a membership, kind of what I have now. I've tried this before. It's a little bit more successful now. But, and what I found was I would pitch the 2K package. And then they would say, oh, it's too much. And I would say, well, you know what? I have this thing, this membership. It's only $100 a month. And you will be shocked that 95% of people
said no.
still said no to, and I'm like, who doesn't have $100?
Rarely it is pricing, to be candid, as and sometimes we that's a classic mistake. It's selling with your wallet, right? It's like if you're
Yeah.
thinking about 2K is too much, well, good luck selling that, right? Because you're going to undermine yourself with the confidence aspect and all of that. So yeah, I 100% understand where you're coming from because I've been there and done that, not for my business but selling others
Yeah. Yeah.
offers. It was never pricing, really. It really depends, Sasha. Sometimes I feel like for example, the landscaping that I told you,
Uh-huh.
I felt like most of the time the blue collar people I was in the call with, they didn't get it,
Yeah.
right? It's like it was almost an awakening through the process for them to understand what coaching means. It was like, are you what? So what are you gonna do for me? So and they're thinking he's gonna light up some candles. He's gonna dance the kumbaya. It's like, are you gonna get me the job? Well, yes and no at the same time. I'm gonna help. I'm gonna guide you to it. Right? It's what you do, but not necessarily I'm gonna get you the position. So it's sometimes it's like the nurturing process and the positioning that can go so far and help you so much in getting to people that are actually more qualified to talk to, that they actually
Yeah.
get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of my coaches would disagree with you. Like uh I struggle with conversion. Like I told you I'm good at getting leads, but conversion is a challenge. And every time, I go to my coach and I complain and I'm like, they just don't get it. They just don't, they're not qualified. And she says to me, no, you just bought their story and they didn't buy yours. So
Mm,
like look, there is a percentage of people that are obviously not qualified leads, right? But how many people we just weren't compelling enough? We didn't really speak in their language and into how it's valuable for them, how it's going to change their life. And I
Yeah,
think it's like you recognize this without going like, oh my God, I suck at sales. Like, you don't you don't have to beat yourself up, but still recognize that, okay, how could I have done differently? And then, like, you think of like one coach whose conversion rate is like 90%, and you're like, okay, how is she doing it
mhm.
that I'm not doing it?
Well, it's more complex than that. I would say, like, the first thing I feel like is like people sometimes are thinking that I'm for from this perspective I'm saying is
Hmm.
like, oh, you're blaming the client. Not necessarily. I'm blaming the entire process before hopping on the call. It's like
Okay.
positioning. It's like
Okay.
pre-qualification filters.
Okay.
Did they fill up a form? Do you know if they already have a job, for example, or not? Because
Right.
sometimes
Like,
not having a job could be a challenge to land a client, you know that? So
yeah.
it's everything that comes before the call. Okay. I'm not
Hmm.
blaming the client for not understanding or buying their story. I'm just want to make sure I'm talking to the right people at the right moment, if that makes any
Yeah. So
sense.
you have a whole process of pre-qualification before they even get on a call with you. That's what you're
It-
saying.
Basically, yes. And I had for other businesses I work
Uh-huh.
with, because here's the thing. If you don't, you have that mentality of scarcity mindset, which is I'm losing potential client and left and leaving a lot on the table,
Hmm.
because I'm
Hmm.
filtering people. I could be talking with them, but then again, you're wasting a lot of time with people that are not actually your potential
Yeah,
paying
that's
clients. So
that's
it's a
very
fine
true.
balance. I'm
Yeah.
not saying
Yeah.
you're not going to lose some. So here's again the walking hand to hand, the conversion with
Hmm.
with the sales, with the lead process, right?
Hmm.
It's like if it's a fine bet. You're not, if you're getting 100% converted on, say, on closing,
Hmm.
your price is too low. I can guarantee
So
you
what
that.
is a healthy conversion in your
Oh,
opinion?
we can talk about that in the debrief session after we we wrap up, of course. But I would say a 90 plus is too much.
Okay.
I would say a
Yeah. I mean,
healthy
I
one would be
don't
at
know.
around 70, something like
70
that.
is really good.
Yeah. I mean, it's
But then,
actually really good, right?
yeah, I mean, I think I feel like for most people that I know, well, I think my coach actually has around 70. Most people she talks to do end up working with her. But I think, like a lot of other people I talk to, it's usually about 30 for them
Mm.
or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Really depends.
Do you
Yeah.
think
And
do you feel like it depends on the offer, or is it the salesperson, or is it the pre-qualification?
it's a loaded question. Everything is something that will determine the final number. But I'm going to give you one thing that sometimes people don't consider is the campaign, right?
Okay.
Like if
Yeah.
you have a referral, it's so much easier to close a referral than someone who clicked on a
Mhm.
link on
Yeah.
LinkedIn and hopped on a call. So
Of
there are
course.
different campaigns and different conversions towards campaigns, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah.
you have to start peeling off the onion. Like, oh, they didn't close. Okay, which track did they came from? Which campaign? That's one thing. Are they qualified or not? That's another thing. Well, what was the main objection for this not to happen? That's another thing. So you gotta use the KPIs and peel it off. It's like
Yeah.
each to
Yeah.
their own, and that's a very loaded question, because there is so much that happens
Yeah.
before and during that. If that
Yeah.
right, was I able to answer your question? Sorry, kind of.
Yeah. No, no, definitely. Absolutely. There's no
Nice.
simple answer, right?
Yes. Now, I'm curious where you're taking all this, Sasha. Looking ahead, where do you see the business going? Are you
Yeah.
thinking about scaling, hiring? Is there a
Yeah.
next step
Well,
you're excited about?
yeah. So I'm always thinking about scaling, actually. I am looking, to have this be a company, right, and eventually have people working for me, and expanding maybe the staffing space as well. Like, there's just so many skills that I have that I can scale. But as far as short term, my goal, I have this amazing membership. It's an amazing community. My high ticket buyers are getting this membership for free, which makes it for a really interesting group. And I have already seen people helping each other through networking and things like that. And I think that's a big future for me. I want to bring in 100 people into this membership this year. It's a very ambitious goal, but I'm up for it, right? And then the year after that, obviously the pricing is going to change, this and the structure of it. And my goal is to be the number one career coach in America. We're going to start in
Hmm.
America.
I lo-
We're
well,
going to start in America, then we'll go worldwide.
you
In
know,
the United States, I should say.
okay, dreaming big and dreaming small cost the same, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
might as well dream
Exactly.
big. I love it.
Yeah.
Now,
What do they say? Wish for the stars and fall on the moon, something like that.
shoot for the stars and hit the moon, something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And of course, whenever we're aiming towards the next chapter, always
Mhm.
something we're refining in the present. So, what are you currently trying to improve or tighten up in your business right now?
Conversion rate. Conversion rate, and definitely scheduling, right? Like being more organized. I know that this is like my downfall, and you cannot be the number one coach, you cannot be a successful coach making millions of dollars being unorganized. So at this point I have to learn it on my own. In the future, obviously I'll hire someone to keep me organized, but we're not there yet, so I have to learn the skill.
Hmm. Okay. And if someone listening wants to connect with you or follow your work, where can people find you and connect
Yeah.
with you?
Yeah. So sashasidelcoaching.com is my website, and you can book a call with me there if you want to speak to me. On Instagram, it's Sasha underscore career underscore coach. And then on LinkedIn, I cannot, it's my legal name, which is Alexandra. So I cannot change that. You can change your name on LinkedIn. So it's Alexandra Sidel on LinkedIn. If you could mention that in the notes, that's where I hang out the most. And if this is someone who is looking for a job that's listening right now, I want you to follow me on LinkedIn and read all my content, because I kid you not, I've had people who never paid me $1. They came to my free master classes, they read my content, and they messaged me and they said, because of you, I got a job. So I know it's very valuable, and I would love to help as many people as possible, whether they pay me or not.
Mm, okay, we're gonna have all the links in the description, so no stress about that. Now,
Awesome.
there were a few things that you shared today that really stayed with me. I'll put it like that. Okay, first of all, it's how simple sometimes things are, right? When I asked you about your origin story, you're like, I was looking for something more meaningful, and you were doing, and that aligns perfectly with you doing volunteer work, right? And then we got into the coaching and all that. So I feel like sometimes people make things more complex when they really aren't that. Really, in reality, it's more like being more, it's more simplicity to it. It's more like, I'm just trying to look something that makes sense to me. I love that, the simplicity of it. Now, I also think it's a powerful reminder when you mention that I'm never gonna DM anyone, right? Oh, it feels icky and all that. But if you're seeing results, and if you really believe in the outcome you can produce to your clients, the first contact is just part of the process, because it's not like they're gonna descend upon heaven and they're like, "Hey, Sasha, you were awesome," and all that. And it really doesn't work like that. Sometimes you need to knock on some doors. You need to talk to people, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's such a powerful reminder, especially for the coaching space. And the last but not least, still being a recruiter, right? You don't say that out loud like you're still a recruiter, and you're telling me that kind of in a secret way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But you did remind me of my dad. I'm in Brazil, as most people
Hmm.
already know, and he was a dean of a university, and he always kept his hours, like minimum hours, at least one class that he was in contact with students. And the reason he did that is because it kept him updated, And he was like so energized by doing that. So it's good that you're still a little bit in the space. You know, you're still have your 1 foot out, 1 foot in, you know what's
Yeah.
happening, you know the trends. I think that really powerful too. Now, Sasha, this is my long-winded way of saying that I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you being here and sharing so openly today. Okay. It was great having
Thank you
you on.
so much. Thank you so much. Great being here. It's such an honor. Thank you, Pedro.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.